Hey everybody, it's Rod with Van Guns coming back at you with another video. Today, I'm going to talk about the SIG Sauer P220. Okay, so the SIG Sauer P220. I did a video about 45 making a comeback, and this was one of the guns I showed in that video along with my Metro Arms 1911. And didn't have a whole lot of people tell me which one they wanted me to do a review on first, but I did have more suggestions for the P220 than I did for the 1911. And that makes sense because there's not a lot of videos about this gun. There's tons of videos about 1911s. So let's get right into it. SIG designed this gun back in the mid-70s, and this was the gun everyone wanted them to export. And if you guys are familiar with the laws in Switzerland, and SIG is a Swiss company, they can't export guns. So what they did was they teamed up with Joseph Sauer and Sons in Germany to build this pistol for the export market. And so SIG Sauer was born in the 1970s, specifically, initially, to produce this firearm. Now, this firearm was available in multiple calibers over the years. 45 is the one that I have here, and I think 45 originally back in the day was, and probably 9mm as well, were the two popular calibers for this gun. Couple of things about this in comparison to a 1911. This is a double action, single action gun. 1911 is a single action only. Okay, so that immediately puts it in a different type of gun. Not better, not worse, but different. I happen to like double action, single action guns as self-defense weapons. If you are like a target shooter or a competition shooter, or you're trying to shoot real fast, 1911 is going to run all over this thing. 1911's got the best trigger out there, and it's got a super short reset, and you can just empty an 8-round magazine in 1911 in like a nanosecond. Whereas this one's not quite as fast. It's fast, but not like a 1911. This gun also has an aluminum body. So you've got a steel slide, steel barrel, of course, but aluminum body. So it kind of predates the polymer pistols, but it's kind of in between a polymer and a steel pistol. So that's kind of where it's at on the weight scale. This gun is beautifully balanced. When I put now this gun is clear, okay? We're all clear here, but I am going to load a magazine. This is a loaded magazine, right? So we're gonna load that magazine in there. So now the gun is balanced. It feels perfectly balanced. The nose isn't trying to tip down on me. The gun's not feeling heavy. It just points really well. And it feels like I could shoot this all day and not get tired. So let's get the magazine out, clear the pistol, we're good to go. So it is, like I said, double action, single action. So how does that work? Well, when you cock it, hammer goes back just like a 1911. Trigger is in a single action. You got a little tiny bit of take up. I know you probably can't see this. A little tiny bit of take up. You fire it. Okay, so we're clear. You fire it. You got a little reset here, right there, and then it fires again. The reset's probably twice the reset you would get on a 1911, okay? So that's why it's not going to shoot quite as fast. You can get triggers for this and improve that. Your initial pull, okay, because this has, let's cock it. We load one in the chamber. There's a decocker here. So it decocks the hammer. Now, to fire the gun, I don't need to rack the slide. I just pull the trigger. But it's like a revolver. It's got a very, very heavy pull. And then your next shot will be a nice, easy single action. Now, why do I like that for home defense and carry? I probably wouldn't carry this gun. It's a little bigger than I like to carry. But for home defense, the nice thing is if you grab the gun quickly in a panic, sure, we always want to put our finger here, not on the trigger until we're ready to shoot. But when the shitstorm hits, you might not remember all of the proper gun, sort of manual of arms. And if you do put your finger in the trigger guard before you should, it takes a pretty heavy, deliberate pull to get that first shot off. It just reduces the chance that you, or perhaps somebody you love that's in your family that might have to use this pistol to defend herself or himself, and they're not experienced, they're less likely to have an accidental discharge. Now, that's just my opinion. I've had people argue with me in the comments, well, you got to train better and all that, and that's fine. Not everybody does that. You never know who's going to maybe save your life with your pistol. Stranger things have happened, and I would certainly like that person not to shoot themselves or accidentally shoot me. So that's just the way I feel about it. There was a story about a guide who was attacked by a bear, and his pistol was sitting over on a grizzly was like munching on this poor guide, and the person with whom the guide was out showing ran over to grab the pistol to try to save him and couldn't make it fire. Didn't know how to disengage the safety or rack the slide or whatever needed to happen. The man passed away. Would it have been nice if the gun was in a position where you just point and shoot? Because everyone instinctively knows to pull the trigger to make the gun go bang. Everybody knows that. So that's just my opinion on the matter. This is a very subjective opinion. And if you feel, hey, I'd rather have a cocked and locked 1911, hey, I love 1911. So I'm with you there. I just prefer, for self-defense purposes, to have a double action, single action, no safety. Okay? So again, it's a preference, guys. There's not a right or wrong here. Anyway, back to this amazing little gun. So I took off the stock plastic checkered grips. They're decent, but I just hate hard plastic grips, even when they have nice checkering. And these did. And I just put a simple Hogue wrap around there. I just like rubbery, grippy grips. That's me. Other people might prefer the hard plastic checkered. Because some people just like that gritty texture of a good diamond checker. And that's what this gun came with. This is an old one, guys. It was made in the early 1990s. It says made in West Germany. So this is kind of a Cold War era gun. They still make this gun today. The modern ones have a pick rail underneath. But really, it's basically the same gun. The modern ones have front slide serrations as well. These things sell new for upwards of $1,200–1,300. But if you get an old one like this, you can find these for well under $1,000 in really good shape. I got a really good deal on this one. So a couple of things about the gun, the pros and the cons. I mentioned the trigger. The trigger on this gun, on this older gun, from what I understand, the new SIGs are much better, but this older trigger is just okay. It's an okay trigger. I'm not super thrilled with it. And I'm not just saying that because I talked about 1911s. It's just okay, even compared to my Beretta 96, which is also a double action, single action trigger, way better trigger than this. So, and my Beretta 96 was made in the 90s too. So just an okay trigger, not a terrible trigger, just okay. That you can upgrade the trigger. You can get the new SIG trigger, which is supposed to be much better, and it should fit right in here. Check with your gunsmith before going out and buying the trigger, however. So takedown on the gun. Basically, I'm going to have to do this and flip it around because of my handedness here. But you pull the slide back, and there's a simple slide lock right there. All right, and you just pull it back. 45 ACPs usually have a reasonably heavy spring, so you're going to have to have some strength to do it. If you don't have a lot of strength, a 45 ACP might not be the best gun because they do have pretty heavy springs, recoil springs. So you pull it back, you latch it in there. Now you'll see this little lever here. All right, this is all metal, by the way. It's no plastic on this at all. This is back in the days when plastic was bad, right? We all know that's not true. But this gun, it was all metal. Okay, so then what you do, and I'm going to do it down here where I can get leverage on it, and you kind of have to pull this lever like this, and it lines up like that. It's that simple, right? And I like to get it lined up so it doesn't drag. So then you release the slide with the slide release. I'm going to do it so you can see. And it comes right off like that. So it's a pretty basic and simple takedown. Compared to a 1911, much easier. And then like any semi-automatic pistol that you've ever taken apart, you've got a simple recoil spring here. You just push that in, and that'll come out like so. And then your barrel comes out like so. You can do 99% of your cleaning and maintenance just taking it down to this level. I don't take pistols down much further than this. If I need to get in and clean out the trigger assembly and do all of that, I'm going to take it to a gunsmith. But for this kind of cleaning and takedown, super easy, super fast. You just reverse the order. Barrel just goes up in there, drops back down, slides into place. This flat, smooth surface is the surface that goes up against the barrel. This funny little end where it looks like it has a little nipple on there, that's what holds it in place through this little hole on the front here. Make that a little better. Then you just push it up in there and it's held in by the spring tension. And then you simply put the slide back on. Again, I got bright lights in my eyes. There we go. Slide comes back on. You just run it back like that. Now on this one, you do have to, and I got it again, I'm right-handed, so I gotta, you pull it back, latch it, and then pull that pin right there back into the normal operation. And now it works normal, just like that. So easy takedown. How does it shoot? Well, it shoots very, very well. This is a little bit lighter than my 5-inch 1911. This is like a 4.5-inch barrel. You would think the recoil would be snappier. It's not. It's about the same. Lighter weight gun, shorter barrel. The recoil to me seems the same. Maybe it's a little more on this just because logically it should be, but it could be that SIG Sauer just has a really nice recoil system in here. So this kicks like a 1911, you know, maybe a little less. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's so well balanced. I don't know, but it shoots really, really well. The only thing is, again, the trigger is just mediocre. It's just okay. It's acceptable. If you're used to shooting a 1911, you're not going to like this trigger. But frankly, if you're used to shooting a 1911, you're not going to like any double action, single action pistol. It's just the way it is. 1911s are very special in the way that they shoot. I really like this gun. I am very seriously thinking about ordering a suppressor, waiting my, 73 years for the NFA to approve it. No, I think they're running about 4 or 5 months right now. And I'll have to buy a threaded barrel for it. SIG still makes a threaded barrel that'll work on this because from what I understand, the barrel hasn't changed from the current P220 to this one. So I can order from SIG a threaded barrel and I can put a silencer on. Well, you know how I feel about silencers. They're not really silencers, they're suppressors because this is still going to make a lot of noise even with a suppressor. But I think that would be a really cool way to utilize this gun. That little bit of lighter extra weight means when I put the suppressor on there, a suppressor is going to weigh 8 or 9 ounces. That'll just kind of make it about the weight of my 1911, but with a suppressor. Maybe just a tad heavier. And because the suppressor will hang off the edge here, it might get a little tiny bit nose heavy, but it's already not nose heavy. So whereas the 1911s, when I hold the 1911, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put my trigger in the trigger guard here. We're empty. The gun tends to put the 1911 tends to put a lot of weight on my index finger because the gun wants to kind of go down because it's an all steel gun and it's got a fair amount of mass up here. This one doesn't do that. It just sits real evenly in my hand, especially when there's a loaded magazine. So I like the way this SIG Sauer feels in my hand, how balanced it is. The recoil is very good for a 45 ACP that only weighs 34 ounces or whatever it is loaded versus 45 or something is what my 1911 all steel gun weighs. And it definitely has better recoil than you're going to get out of a super lightweight Glock. So man, SIG Sauer P220, you can pick these up for, anywhere from $500 to $900 used. Again, you don't get a pick rail. There's a lot of stuff you can't, do with this without the pick rail. But I've got an old Surefire light on my Beretta 96 that would go right on here. In the, the same load kit would work. So I already tried it. So that old Surefire that I have for my Beretta 96 will actually work on this gun. So I can put a Surefire light on the bottom and a suppressor. And wow, what a great home defense weapon that's not going to blow my eardrums out and leave me, dazed and confused, with the muzzle flash and the ringing ears. It's a great gun, guys. I can highly recommend the SIG Sauer P220, whether you get a modern one or an older one like this. These are great guns, and I believe SIG still makes them with the aluminum body. They may have a polymer version, but I think you can still buy this aluminum frame, steel slide version of the gun just like this. Failed to mention earlier, but I'll mention it now. 8 rounds single stack magazine, so it's very similar to a 1911 in that regard. So that's a disadvantage. But again, if we're comparing it to a 1911, same deal. And so excellent firearm. Highly recommend. So that's all I got today, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out. Let me know in the comments below if you want other gun reviews. I've got plenty of firearms to review. And I hope to see you back here on Van Guns.